Motion tracking your footage can yield some impressive results, even adding a little fire to your edits. And it's actually easier than you might think. I'm Tom Graham for Envato Tuts Plus, and in this Tuts Plus quick tip, I'm going to show you how to motion track your footage in DaVinci Resolve. But before we get to that, if you're creating video content for the internet, then you need to check out Envato Elements. It's a subscription service for creative stock assets that gives you unlimited access to literally millions of bits and pieces like footage, video templates, music, and much more. You can download all of them and use them in your projects right away. So to learn more about Envato Elements, click the handy little link down in the description below. But this video is about tracking, so let's get cracking. All right, so to get started, we're going to track two pieces of footage here. We've got this piece of footage here of this lady taking a selfie, and then this lady walking through, whatever city this is, I'm not sure. But some nice kind of touristy pieces of footage from Envato Elements. Now, the reason why we're going to do two is because there's a couple of different types of trackers that you can use in DaVinci Resolve. So today, for this piece of footage, we're going to look at a point tracker, and for this piece of footage, we're going to look at a planar tracker. We'll start off with a point tracker. So what you need to do is you need to select the piece of footage that you want to add the tracker to, making sure that's selected here just by clicking on it. You can see the orange bars go around it. And then we're going to go over to Fusion, just down here. So this opens up the piece of footage in our Fusion composition. And now don't worry, Fusion is a bit of a beast. So if you haven't looked at it before, if you don't really know your way around, that's okay. Just follow these little steps that I'm going to show you for this specific tracking tool. And then, if you want to learn more about Fusion, you kind of deep dive in from there. But basically, the way Fusion works, it's node-based, similar to the color tab over here. You've got your media in, you've got a whole bunch of things that happen in the middle, and then you've got your media out. So if you think about this the way that you would look at like After Effects, all of your layers that are happening kind of in here. All of the compositing is happening here. So you start with your base footage, which is in this case this. You do all of your kind of fancy VFX and compositing and stuff in the middle, and then you have your output. So to do the tracker, all you need to do, click on Media in 1 here, and then hit Shift Spacebar, and that will bring up your selection tool. You can also right click on here or any other node and go up to Insert Tool, and it will have all of your other tools there, but it's quite easy to just do Shift Spacebar. So clicking on here, Shift Spacebar, we're going to search tracker. We're going to see here we've got a tracker, a planar tracker, surface tracker, camera tracker. So today, for this piece of footage, let's just use the first one here, which is tracker, and that's going to be basically a point tracker. So basically, the way this works is you've got your bounding box on the outside, which is searching just this area, so it's excluding all of the stuff around here. And then this solid box here is the area where it's actually looking for an object within that. And then the crosshairs is the point on which we're asking it to track. And you can drag this around by grabbing this little square here. You can see as I move my mouse over it, it highlights. And using the playhead down here in the timeline, you can kind of move forward to your footage and move backwards through your footage as well. And what we want to do for a tracker, we kind of want to find a piece that has a really nice, good bit of contrast that's going to track all the way through. And what I like to do is probably go to my end frame and see what's solid there. Sort of go to my middle frame and see if it's solid there as well, and then go to the start. So I think end frame here, it's probably best if we kind of track the little cameras on her phone here. It's pretty visible the whole way throughout, and if you go to the front as well, it's still just visible there. So I'm going to go to the very end frame. I'm going to grab the little box over here, and you can see now I've got my crosshairs. I can drop that right there. I'm going to extend this box a little bit more so that it's showing her hand and the phone, and then I'm going to extend the outside box as well, just to show that we want to look in this area, but we want to exclude everywhere else. Now, what I can do over here in the tools in the inspector, so we're on our trackers here. This button here will go track reverse, and this button here will track reverse from current time. It's important that as well, because if we've gone into the middle here and we hit track reverse, it'll try to track reverse from here, but we want it to track reverse from the current time. In this case, it is the end of the timeline, but let's say we wanted to track reverse from here. We would do it from current time, and then we will go through and kind of track the rest of it. But for ease of use, go to the end of your timeline, set your tracker if that works, and go track reverse from current time. Okay, so this track is almost done now. We can see there it's moving through the timeline on the left-hand side. And once it's finished, it gives you this nice little, rundown of what it's done. So just hit OK. So now you can see the tracker data has been plotted there. And if we move this forward, you can see the box is kind of tracking with our woman here taking this selfie. So an easy way to track text on here would be to click into the node section here. making sure that we're no longer selecting the tracker. And then we can just hit a new text node here, and that brings up a new text node. So let's just write something like selfie, a little exclamation point there, and we'll just change it to something other than Open Sans, something a bit fun. We'll grab this Olive Days one. Now you can't see what that looks like, and that's fair. You might be going, Tom, I can't see what that looks like. Well, now to add that text to the tracker, you just drag this little output here and drop it onto the tracker there, so that's connected. But obviously we still can't see the text, and that's fine. Click back into the tracker, and you just need to go up to operation up here. And instead of saying none, we want to go match move. Now you can see that text that we've just put in here has showed up. And if we highlight it here as well, you can go, maybe a different color or something like that. Let's go that nice, vibrant pink color there. And if we scroll through the timeline, you can see it's tracking with our phone tracking data there. But we want it to sit up near her phone, so how are we going to do that? It's quite simple. Making sure you've got the text layer selected, we're just going to go up here to Layout, and then we're going to grab our center point and we're going to move that around. So let's just move that into place where we want it. I'm going to take it just here near her phone. And I do think that maybe this is a little bit too bright here. So I'm going to go back to our text layer here, and maybe let's just take the color down a little bit. That looks a bit better. Now let's play that through and see what it looks like. It might take a little bit to render depending on, again, like I said before, the complexity, but now you can see that word that we've put in is tracking with our phone here. And it's all happening within Fusion. And really, it's only a couple of things here. You've got a text node, a tracker node, and then it's going between your media in and out. So if we go back into the Edit tab now, you can see that there's no other layers or anything on our footage or on our timeline. It's still just this one piece of footage, but it's got our effects built into it. Okay, so that's a point tracker. Let's move over now to the planar tracker, which is this one. So again, clicking on this piece of footage, making sure it's selected, we're going to go through into our Fusion tab. Again, exactly the same thing here. We're going to click on our media in, shift spacebar, and we're going to search tracker, which is there from last time. But this time we're going to hit planar tracker, and we're going to hit add. So at the moment, it will just make your cursor this little crosshair button. And what we want to do is I'm going to actually scroll all the way to the front of this one. What I want to do is I want to track this wall and add text to this wall. So rather than tracking the motion of her phone, I want to track basically the camera parallax motion between the wall and the camera. So we can add text or another image or something like that as if it's on the wall. So let's go to the start of our piece of footage here and also just kind of drag through and make sure that this corner of the wall is in our footage the entire time, which I think it is, and it seems to be, so that's good. So dragging back to the start, using our little crosshairs here, I'm going to create 4 points. I'm going to create 1 point there, another point there, roughly around here, and another point here. Now that one I've done here is probably a little bit out of perspective. I'm trying to make it kind of match this perspective here, and I think that will work well. So now what we want to do, it's a little bit different than the point tracker that we used last time. Making sure that we're on our first frame, which is where we've drawn our tracking points, we want to hit set to set our reference time. So we've hit set now, which has set our reference time to 98 frames, not 0, which is where we are sitting here because I'd cropped this piece of footage earlier. And then, like we did before, we want to track through to the end. So I can click this button right here. And you can see now that's grabbed a whole bunch of points within that plane and it's tracking those in motion. So now that it's finished, let's go back to the start and see how well it has done. Just playing through there, you can see it's grabbed a whole bunch of points within that box and it's tracking those points through space. So it's picking up the perspective as well. Now, if yours doesn't default over here to motion type perspective, you can change that there. You can also play around with some other things like translation rotation at scale, and so on and so forth. But for this kind of work, I think perspective works really well. But now what we want to do is change the operation mode from track to corner pin. And that allows us to, again, grab the corners here and put them where we had them. But when we put an asset over this, it will bound the assets within this box. So let's corner pin here like this. We could add another text layer like we did with the other piece of footage, but here I want to show you that you can bring in some like PNG overlay graphics. So let's say, for instance, I've just got this little paint rat here. I can just drag that in and drop that over on our footage. And basically, once I connect this, you'll see it goes within that bounding box there. So there we go. We've basically got this little like rat graffiti graphic that I made. And if we play that through, that has been tracked to that section of the wall. But if you did want to transform some of that, you can't really do it like you would usually do over in the Edit tab where you've got all your transform tools in your inspector. So how do we do that easily? Well, just grab this media too, which is the rat that we've just brought in here. hit Shift, spacebar once again, and find something called Transform. And we'll make sure it's Transform, not Transform XF. So now we can change the left and right position. We can change the zoom. And you can see there when I go up, it's going to be outside the bounding boxes that we've created. So we need to make sure it sits within those bounding boxes. We can change things like the rotation, the width, the height, the things like that. So go through and you can play with what you want. But what I do want to go through and change here is in animation, we can change the motion blur, because as we move through, there was a little bit of motion blur that the plane the tracker was picking up. So I'm just going to add a little bit of motion blur to this. And as we do move through, that motion blur data should be transferred to that image. I also just want to add a little bit of edge softness as well, because it is slightly further in the background. She is obviously in focus. The background is slightly out of focus compared to her. So we'll just add a little bit of softness to the edges of this rat. And now if we go back to our edit tab, we can see once again that that little image has been tracked onto the wall the same way that our text was tracked onto our phone in the first piece. So there we go, a couple of quick ways of doing some motion tracking in DaVinci Resolve Fusion and using that tracking data to bring some wow factor to your edits. So I hope this quick tip has helped you on your journey. Check out Envato Tuts Plus for more free tips, tutorials, and courses for whatever your creative needs are, and don't forget to get subscribed. Until next time, happy tracking.